All right. Hello, welcome. Glad everybody could make it. We got another webinar on deck for us today, talking about commissions and specifically some commission reports that will help you just save some time when it comes to getting your payroll ready. We are in the middle of July. We're halfway there through your busy season. I hope everyone is having a really good season. I hope your start was very positive and profitable for you, and we're still going to get you through the rest of the season. The summer webinar series is designed to be very topical, and there's not as many of them, right? So we're going to get right down to the nitty gritty today and hopefully show you even one little insight to a report that many of you are already using. We're going to talk about specifically when we are using RB to track your commissions. And there's no reason you shouldn't. All of the hard work is already there, right? You've done it. You've set up your inventory. Your staff, they know how to write a sales order through RB. Let RB do that bookkeeping piece for you. The key to commission tracking really is in the setup. So we're going to start on the first half today and talk about the things that you need to do or might want to do to set up your RB installation for a quality commission tracking setup. Then we're going to talk about the commission report builder specifically in detail today, because that is your go-to report to get on-demand flexible commission numbers. And if time permits, and I suspect that it will, at the end of today's session, we are going to very quickly talk about a feature that is often overlooked, and it's a quasi-commission feature. The report is run through the commission reports, but it's the game tracker feature. It's an extension of an inventory flag that we can put on certain pieces in RB that aren't necessarily paying a commission, but they might be high value pieces for your business to sell. And if that's the case, we want to incentivize our staff, commission or not, to sell those pieces. So we'll talk about Game Tracker at the end of the session. Again, it's a time permitting piece, but I think we're going to absolutely hit it because commission reports and the commission setup is pretty straightforward. There's not a lot that we can get hung up in the setup or running those reports. So today, your questions, as always, the summer session, people are busy running their stores. They are out doing service, building pools, cleaning pools, doing maintenance, doing warranty work. We probably will have some time for Q&A at the end, but as always, if we don't, you know that I will follow up with you privately via email. Also, if you ask a question that is a very business-specific question, as always, I'll follow up with you privately and we'll have a one-on-one conversation. But your questions are always welcome. And the place to put those questions is under the Questions tab. If you go down at the very bottom corner of Google Meet, you'll find the questions and answer interface. And that Q&A interface is found under the icon called Activities. It's 3 polygons, a triangle on top of a square and a circle. You could pop your questions in there. And like I said, we'll probably get to them live. I do ask that you hold it until you're sure I've gone through it and have moved past it, because sometimes those questions will get answered on the way, but they're always welcome, and I'm always happy to answer your questions. So setup, as I said before, is really the critical piece. This is the time investment piece that will help you save time and not pull out your hair on the back end. Our commission reports are great. They are as summary as you want them to be. So it could be Ryan's commission check for this period is $1,200. Or they can be as detailed as you need them to be. Well, Ryan questioned that $1,200, so I'm going to give Ryan a printout of everything that he sold that was a commission item, and he can see where that $1,200 goes, and somewhere in between, right? Most of the time, your summary commission report is what you're going to use. Occasionally, If you have an employee question your commission check, or if you need to dig deeper at the transaction level, you're able to do that as well. But most of the time, you're going to be pulling a summary report. Regardless, to get it to work efficiently, we have to make sure that things are set up correctly in the first place. And the first thing that pertains to setup is outside of RB entirely. It's thinking about your commission structure. How are you paying commissions? Are you paying a percentage of the retail price to your staff? Are you spiffing items? So let's say I sell a tub. I'm not going to get a cut of the tub, but I might get $150 per tub. Or are we doing a percentage of profit? We see this sometimes with service work, where everything that a service technician gets done, they get a piece of whatever the profit margin is. We also see this occasionally in retail, where the retail commissions, and this most often happens when it is a bonus commission or a commission on top of an hourly rate instead of a commission versus draw for your salespeople. But will you give them a cut of the earnings, not necessarily the retail price? All three of those are very viable and realistic choices for your business to make. And as always, they're a choice that you have to make individually or collectively based on circumstance in your store. I have stores that run all three and then some more commission schemes. But those are the three big ones that we typically see. So regardless of what you decide, we're getting right to it today. We are going into RB. So let me switch up and voila, welcome to my store. So today, the setup work that we are going to look at in the first place is in the inventory screen. I'm going to turn on my mouse highlighter so it's a little easier to follow. There's a couple of different ways that we can set up our commissions, but the most fundamental and basic way is at the inventory item level. So I'm going to open up my inventory items and I am going to pull up any old piece of inventory that makes sense. What might I pay a commission on? Well, I might pay a commission on a pool ladder. I'm going to open that part to modification by clicking the modify part. And then I am going to, the tabbed interface down here at the bottom of the inventory item screen. This is where all the magic happens. This is where the power of RB is. And we're going to go to the discounts and commissions tab. Now, you're going to see a couple of things. The top section of this tab is if you've ever run a sale on this item, you'll see historical sale prices for this particular item. So I click show all events and I can see that I ran this particular ladder 2 summers ago. I ran it on sale for 15% off and nobody's gotten a break on it since. This is good for informational purposes, but it's not where we are focusing today. We're focusing today down here in the bottom section, the commission multiplier or spiff section of that item record. The multiplier is exactly that. It is a percentage multiplier. You're representing this as a decimal. So I have 0.25. So I'm paying 2.5% on this ladder. Well, times they are a little tougher now. I'm going to make that 2%. So I shaved 0.5 point from what I was paying on that particular ladder. Once I click out of that area, you'll see that this commission window next to the multiplier shows me exactly what I'm going to pay my staff on that ladder sale. So now my commission for that ladder is $6.75. If I was going to spiff this ladder, let's say I have a bunch of pool add-ons, and this might be an add-on ladder instead of like a kit ladder. So it's a little better entry for your pool. I might not want to multiply this one, but I might say to my team, hey, I'm going to pay you $10 per add-on item from this collection of add-on items that you sell. instead of putting in a multiplier, I'm going to put the direct dollar amount in the spiff box. And of course, I would clear my multiplier box. So I'm going to make my multiplier 0. And now this bonus ladder is spiffed at $10. So I would pay $10 for the ladder. If I wanted to do a combination of the two, I can put both in. And I restored it back to the 0.025, so the 2.5%. So this ladder, based on the percentage, is paying almost $8.50 plus the spiff at $10. If I left it alone like this, I'm paying $18 commission on this ladder. Needless to say, I'm going to drop that spiff and leave it at the 2.5% commission. And then I save that item. Easy peasy. It's done. That commission is now set on that particular item. And some stores that are setting commissions based on item costs and profit levels are going to do this. They're going to go into each item piece by piece by piece and modify that commission or that spiff. Nothing wrong with that. Where it gets a little stickier is if I don't have a need to do things at the item level, or I don't want to do things at the item level. Let's say I am going to pay a commission on all of my chemicals to my sales staff. I'm going to pay them, maybe half a point or a point on every single chem. I select the chemicals category, and you can see even in my very limited store, I have quite a few entries that I would have to go in here and say, okay, I'm going to modify this part. I'm going to go to the discounts and commissions, and I am going to put in my 0.5% commission on this chem, and my team's going to earn 32 cents every time they sell this salt cell cleaner. And I got to save it, and then I go down through the list. I don't want to set all of these commissions one at a time. I want to set them in bulk. Well, of course, RB will accommodate you, but not on the inventory items screen. To set our commissions in bulk, we're actually going to go somewhere that we don't think of when we modify parts very often. We're going to go into Marketing tab, and we're going to open up our event planner. And under the event planner, no, we're not running a sale, but we're going to make a bulk edit. So the type of change that I want to do is I want to set a commission multiplier in mass. What am I setting that commission multiplier to? Well, I'm setting it to my chemicals department. So I use the filter to select the items that I want. I say that the type of change is I am changing the commission multiplier, and I am going to change that multiplier to 0.5 point across the board. So I put in my multiplier at the top, and then I select all. So in this case, it's easy for me. I'm just going to click on the top one and then shift click down to the bottom one so that I have everything selected. And just like I was running a sale, when I'm done, I hit update. And now everything in my chemicals category should be correctly commissioned out. Now, don't get confused on either this screen or the prior screen. If you look up in the window right now, what do we see? We see a 0.01, and you're sitting there saying, Ryan, I watched you type in a 0.005, a 0.5 point, and it's giving them a full point. It's not. This is a little quirk. RB for displays rounds to the 100th. That's 2 points past the decimal. If I put in half or a decimal value of a percentage, I'm going to be beyond that. In my case, I'm 3 points beyond the decimal. If I click in that window to edit it, it will display the actual value that's there. But when I'm done, and let's say I click somewhere else, For display purposes, when the program is actually drawing the screen, it rounds it to that 100th place. So you're not going crazy. In fact, when I was learning RB years ago, I thought I was doing something completely wrong until I went in and sold one of these items and then ran the commission report and said, oh, it is calculating that 0.5%. And then, I was less shy and went and talked to the developers, and they say, no, the way that the framework that RB is written in works is that whenever that's not the active selection dialog box, it rounds it up for display purposes only. Most of the time, we are, putting in a percentage value that's a flat percent. But if you're like me, every once in a while, you'll want to get a fractional percentage in there, whether it's 0.5% or 2.5% or something like that. And if you do that, that is when that rounding screen display is going to be there. I want to be very careful to make sure that I communicate that that is just a display item. Anyway, when I'm done, I quit. I'm going to go back into my inventory items screen here. And I am going to pull my chemicals category, and I'm going to pick any old item from that chemical. Here's 2 quarts of pH down. When I check that discounts and commissions screen, sure enough, it has a 0.5 point commission assigned to it. So that was a successful mass edit. And I can click on any of these, and I can see that that is accurate across the board for the category. So that is important for setup. The second item that's important for setup is actually making sure that your RB can handle the different types of commissions you're going to pay. So I'm going to pull up a sales order. Any old sales order that's just sitting in my bin right now. And I want to call attention to the information column. Now, we know that it is really a best practice for your staff on every transaction to double check the information in this column every time. We also know that there are defaults that can be set, and it sometimes falls through the cracks, right? Not everybody checks those out every time. And that's how we end up with a sale in the wrong revenue center or a commission paid to the wrong person. But when you're setting up a sales order, your staff have to know to put themselves on the sales order to get a commission. So I might be writing this bullfrog tub. Hey, nice sale, Ryan. And I randomly picked that tub out. So I did all right. It is an item that I am requiring serial numbers on. So I'm going to update it and just pick one of my generated serial numbers so that I can actually, close out this transaction if I need to in our demo today. But I want to go down through and, as much as I want the whole commission on this tub myself, my good friend Rebecca helped me sell it. So I'm going to split this sale with her. I have to make sure that I put her on as salesperson too. RB will split sales based on whatever percentages you want when you run the commission report. And we'll see that in the second half. But we have to make sure the right people are on the ticket. And I cannot tell you, between myself and calls into support, when there's a commission error, over half of them are just because the wrong people are on the ticket. So make sure that your staff know, double check that you're on the ticket so that you can get paid. If you are paying labor commissions, obviously you want to make sure that the labor commission field is also selected. Now this one, it's not going to matter because it's not a labor commission. But if I was paying a commission or a percentage of the piece that my service techs did, I have to include those service techs in the labor commission field. This sometimes shows up in reporting and in other areas as salesperson 3. Logically, you can see why. When they originally programmed it, that's what it was. But we want to make sure that that is filled out as well. In this case, there's not a labor commission, so I'm going to clear that out. You might be looking and saying, hey, I don't have a labor commission field. You do, but it's turned off right now. And if you want to use labor commissions, you can go into company setup and turn it on. So it's as simple as a checkbox. That is something that you're able to manage on your end when you set those preferences in company setup. So now I have done everything that I need to do. I have my ticket ready to go. I'm going to mark it, because I'm a good salesperson, that it's done and ready to be converted. And I'm going to save that ticket. So now that sale is on the books, and I've shared the sale as I should with the person that has helped me out. Those 2 steps, making sure your staff are aware to make sure they're on their sales, and getting the setup for your commission multipliers, if you're paying based on item costs, are critical steps. They're easy. The item commission multipliers, when you go in to set them, that's the time-consuming one, because you might want to look at different profit levels between items. This hot tub might pay a 5% commission. That hot tub might pay a 2% commission. This accessory might pay a 1% commission. I might want to spiff some clearance chemicals. You know, those are the decisions that sales managers, inventory managers, and owners are going to have to make, and that's what takes the time. Once it's set up, we're ready to go to the back end and really dive in and look at the commission builder report that on the surface looks slightly intimidating just because there's a lot going on. But in reality, it is a very, very easy and flexible report for you guys to use. So the setup piece is critical, and we are going to look at the second half when we come back from a very, very, very short break. All right, we are back. I'm going to take a look at part 2, which is the commission report builder. It really is, in my opinion, the best way for you to run your commission reports and get exactly what you're looking for. There are some pre-built commission reports, but they're static, right? And with commissions, it's a little different than a daily sales report where it can be static, right? We want to look at very specific things based on the differences from company A to company B to company C. You know, I work with over 1,000 different companies, and every single one of them is going to have a nuanced difference in the way that they pay commissions. So this is really the main tool that I recommend for everybody to learn. The static reports, of course, they're useful. They're there. They're good for at a glance. Maybe some of them will work for you, but most of the time, we're not looking at like a one-size-fits-all solution when it comes to commissions. And we're going to look at how to work with all of the different commission structures that are out there as we take a look at this particular builder. So once again, I am not going to waste any time today. I am all about just going right into RB, and I am going to switch up into my RB environment. Okay. So right where we left off, we were at the sales order screen. This morning, I cheated, right? I knew I was doing commissions with us this afternoon. And I'm in a different situation with my demo than you are with your stores, because I don't always run a tremendous amount of transactions. So this morning, I ran some transactions so that my report actually has some data. Because the last thing that I wanted to do was to be pulling reports for you and not have anything to show you. So I have some generic data that's already put into the reports, and we are going to go right into the reports tab and click on, you guessed it, commission. This is going to give you a basic reports dashboard, the same types of dashboard that you see for just about every other report. Common threads. You're going to see a date range, and then you're going to see a slew of different pre-built reports. Now, back in the old days, this is all we had for commission reports. There was not a flexible tool like the one we're going to look at today. So they are there and prominent. Down in the bottom left-hand corner, though, is the access to the commission reports builder. And again, this is one of those situations where the programmers named it, not us. This should be your primary go-to report for commissions, because when it loads, you can see that it allows you to do a lot more. Now, part of me cheating was loading up all of the sales for today under today, so I don't have to keep monkeying around and changing the sales date range. You're going to set this date range to represent whatever range you're paying out. So if you are a week in arrears, you'll set it for last week. If you are a month in arrears, you'll set it for last month. It is critically important so that you don't double pay, because RB does not keep track of what got paid out, right? That, unfortunately, is a more financial reporting thing, something your accountant's probably tracking in your payroll service, or if you're still tracking payroll in QuickBooks, they might be tracking it manually in QuickBooks. For our purposes, we want to make sure this is correct and not doubled up, which is why it's important, again, training the humans that are using RB to have them first and foremost every single gosh darn time make sure that they have the correct date range set, because it is entirely possible that you will double pay an item. And it's not that I don't think your staff won't pay you back, but that doesn't generate goodwill and charity when you say, hey, I need $200 back because I double paid you on a hot tub. So check your dates. Then we can go into report types. This is logical, right? In this case, we're looking for sales commissions. By default, I have it set at sales commissions. I have my commissions based on a multiplier or spiff that's already been paid, or that's already been programmed, rather, from the first half. From that point, we make selections. What location? If your salespeople straddle locations, but each location pays out commissions separately from separate pots, this is important. Most of the time, it's going to just be representative of everything from the sale. But there are situations, and we have clients that have multi-location centers that pay out of different revenues, or revenue centers and bank accounts and that sort of thing, where that makes a difference. What revenue center am I paying? In my case, it's easy. I'm going to select all. And then what category am I paying? Again, in my case, it's easy. I am going to select all, and this is going to give me the commissions that are paid out to my employees across the store, across the categories. Now, if for some reason I needed to exclude a category, I can selectively choose and pick the different items that this report does. 9 times out of 10, I see companies that, if you're setting a commission, you're going to pay it. Up at the top, we continue on and we say, what is the commission split? Or what percentage of the preset commission are we paying? This comes into play if you run commission schemes that are different for different employees. What do I mean by that? Well, I think back to my first commission sales job when I was a teenager. If those of you that are familiar with the Western Pennsylvania, Ohio, West Virginia, tri-state area, there used to be a television and appliance store in this area called Sun Television. And that was one of my first jobs, right? I was selling TVs. I was also part-time, which meant that as a part-timer, I got paid 80% of the commission value. Full-timers earned 100% of the commission value. If you have a commission scheme that is set up like that, this is where you say, my full commission is such and such. My split commission is such and such. And usually when we see something, it's very much along the lines of my example. You're going to run your commission report once for your full-timers and once for your part-timers, or once for everybody that has a different scheme. So in this case, I'm going to keep it basic. It's 100% for full commission. And if I'm splitting a sale, it's split down the middle, because again, that's very common for commission schemes because we don't want squabbling between the salespeople. If you split it in half. Then I'm going to click the Retrieve Employees button. And it's going to give me a list of all of my employees that have valid commission transactions during this time period in these categories. If I said, uh-oh, April's a part-timer, she's going to be on a different scheme, I can just uncheck her. And she won't show up on the report. I'm going to leave her checked. If I want to then further have some breakdowns on the report, do I care what revenue center it came in? For a commission report, not really. Do I want a category breakdown? But I know that Ryan guy watches his commissions like a hawk, and he's going to want to see an item breakdown each and every time. So I'm just going to check the box now and get it done. Then, like any other report, I can print it or bump it out to Excel. When I run that report, it looks like this. Let me make this a little larger. You can see how I cheated with the same items over and over again this morning. It is going to show me exactly what I sold, the commission value of it, the transaction number, and the sales date. And again, I cheated. I put them all on one ticket. So I have, in this case, 42 cents that I owe April because she sold one skimmer that was worth 42 cents. April might be a cashier that doesn't sell all the time, right? So this will be paid in addition to her wages. Rebecca, she did really well. She sold a hot tub. She sold some of those skimmers too, and it shows the breakdown of what I'm paying her. And then that Ryan guy, he gets a little commission too. At the bottom, it's going to give me my totals, so I know what I'm cutting. And on this report for this day, I'm cutting a $771 expense to my staff. Hey, they did really well. I can also see, based on individuals, what their checks should be. And again, if there's any questions, I have the transaction and the item, line item broken down, so I know exactly when, where, what customer, what item, and what transaction number I am paying out on. So this is the first basic complete report that I've created from that commission reports builder. I'm going to go back to the commission reports builder. And I'm going to say, well, you know what? I have a different commission scheme. I don't pay based on the multiplier or the spiff. I'm going to pay commission based on the profit that my store makes. This is the second most common type of commission that we see. It's more common with services, but it sometimes applies to retail. But the setup is exactly the same. I make my selections. In this case, I don't have to change anything, but I am going to be changing the percentages. Since I am basing it on the profit, I am going to give a full 10% commission on the profit margin for each item, which means that my split will be a 5 and a 5% commission. Again, it's logical. Process is the same. I'm going to retrieve those employees. I am going to then print that report. Zoom in again for my old eyes, and you can see that I have a very different looking commission report because it is basing it on the salesperson's percentage of the profit. So I have those same items because the same items were sold that had a valid commission. In this case, I actually sold something else, right? That did not have a commission multiplier set, but because I'm not looking at multipliers, I'm looking at percentage of profit. I get that. And it breaks it down based on the numbers that I've got. So same exact set of circumstances on the report. I have my commission values. I have what the check value is for each employee. And I have the breakdown based on transaction and item for everything that I'm paying. The only difference is the total commission is whatever percentage I set it to be based on my profit. So it looks at the margin. Last but not least, if you do labor commissions, the process is the same. I might pay 50% commission to my labor employees, but it runs exactly the same. I'm going to do a labor. I'm going to say it's based on profit. Might help if I select all of my categories. There they are. I do have labor commissions. And then this report is going to show you your labor commission report based on your services. So you can see this looks different because I have, this is a sand change. I had a person that put in looks like a pool bubbler, but they ended up returning it. So that commission got backed out. So he's a 0. And then someone else put in the pool bubbler secondary. The process of building out this report is exactly the same. It's super flexible, right? We can make changes on the fly. If I have multiple commission schemes, I can set them up quickly and easily. And it really is what you see is what you get. This addition to RB versus what was, and what was those preset commission reports, is such a welcome addition in my eyes because it gives you quick, easy, responsive, and flexible reporting for all of your commission needs. The last thing I want to talk about is our game tracker items. And I know it's got a funny name. Ryan, what's a game tracker? Well, a game tracker is RB speak for an item that we want our staff to push. We want our staff to promote. For whatever reason, we need to move a particular item. I'm going to go into my inventory here. And I am going to pick a particular item. Let's say these clear balance tabs. My vendor or my manufacturer is going to offer me a kickback if I sell so many of these. The more I sell, the more I make. I obviously want my staff to push these goods. I'm going to go in and flag this item as a game tracker item. What does this do? Well, functionally, it doesn't do anything visible in RB. But on the back end, it collects data about that item and about your staff. So you can say to your staff, hey, you want to sell Arm & Hammer Clear Balance tablets. And the person that sells the most of these in the next 6 weeks gets a $50 Amazon gift card. It is amazing the power of the $50 Amazon gift card for your staff. They will work for that. And second place is going to get $25. And third place will get $15. And everybody that sells at least 10 gets $5, whether you place or not. Well, how do we know who sold it? Well, that's where Game Tracker comes in. In the background, Game Tracker is looking to see who sold what. So I'm going to very quickly write a sale for these Clear Balance tablets so that they are on the books. I'm going to change my quantity to 15 if it will let me. And I am going to put in that part number. And I'm very quickly going to apply payment. I'm doing this as a cash register sale because I want it to be on the books right away. So my sale is done. Now, the time period is over that I am working with my staff. So I am going to run this report for my Game Tracker items. And I'm going to write Game Tracker items sold. You'll also see that there is a Game Tracker items report. That'll just list all of the items that you have flagged in case you need to audit what you're tracking. I want to actually see the items sold report. And what this is going to do is it is going to show me a report of all of my staff and all of the Game Tracker items that I have flagged. And you can see I have more than one thing going on. I have that skimmer that was paying a commission is one of the tracker items. That's one that I set up this morning. There's my Clear Balance tablets, and it's going to show me who sold what. So if I am looking at this skimmer, I can see that Rebecca sold 19 skimmers. Good for her. She's probably in the lead, but where's my skimmer? This Ryan guy sold 20 of them. He gets that Amazon gift card. That Ryan guy sold 150 Clear Balance tablets in this time period compared to everybody else. And it'll give you a breakdown of who sold what and what employees are pushing the correct goods, right? Which folks are following what we want to sell and actually trying to enhance our profits a little bit. So it is a short, easy, and quick report that you can run that is very, very valuable and super motivating to your staff. That's all we've got for today. I want to remind you, when you need help, first and only place to go is your RB Help Docs. I'll give you a little sneak peek. The customer portal and some other customer-facing things are going to be changing in the near future. Fear not, no content is going to be lost. It's actually going to get better. You might have noticed that over the last 6 months, the provider that we use for our customer portal and our help documentation, well, it wasn't providing the best results. If you would search for something that you know is there, and I do this all the time, it may not come up in search. We are switching our documentation and our support system to a new system in the future. When that happens, it'll be seamless for you. But if you do have it bookmarked, you probably are going to need a new bookmark. But it is a fully searchable KB. In fact, there's even an AI included in the KB, so you can ask it questions and it will tell you what to do without you having to find the documentation. So it's very cool. Phase 1 is just going to be getting the documentation transferred over to the new portal. That's my current behind the scenes project that I'm working on. But I'm not getting rid of anything. The existing portal is still there. It is still functional, and all of that information that's too valuable to get rid of is still there. So right now, push F1 in your RB from the main menu, and it will take you there. Launch your web browser, and hopefully their search will work a little better for us. If, of course, you need tech support or a quick question that has bubbled up that you need a same-day answer for, you want to give a call, 866-224-7225. Leave a voicemail for the technicians, and they will call you back. If it's not time-sensitive and it's a technical issue, you can send an email, give them a couple of days on the email support. And if you need detailed training or resources, you can contact me, or there's a link, of course, in the portal where you can request resources, and I can do everything from send stuff out to if we need to sit down and meet and have a chat, we can do that too. So those are your options, as always, for RB. Hey, I want to thank everybody for taking time out of your busy, busy summer to spend with us today. I hope that this gives you a little better insight to commissions. We had no questions lined up, so I always take that as a really good sign. But if something pops up an hour or two from now, shoot me an email and I will answer your question when I get it next week. So thank you again. I wish you all a great day and a great rest of your season, and we'll see you at our next webinar. Have a good one, everybody.